the Rams may have avoided disaster with their best player. My name is Joe Dolan, and this is the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup for Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Hello, everyone. Okay, so I'm just talking to myself, sitting here by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory. Anyway, let's just get right into it, right? What? Why not? Starting at quarterback today, we have the Eagles' Jalen Hurts. Now, Philadelphia is a special sports city in many ways. One of the biggest ways is the ability to find the absolute only cloud in an otherwise clear sky. So, though the city is obviously riding high on the unbeaten Eagles and the deeply flawed but incredibly fun Phillies, complaints are not totally absent. One valid, though overblown, complaint fans have had about the Eagles has been about their seeming inability to put a team away in the second half after building a big lead. And one absolutely insane complaint from some is that Hurts runs for too many touchdowns and doesn't throw for enough. Well, the Eagles assuaged both concerns with their 35-13 blowout of the Steelers in Week 8. During the game, Hurts carried the ball just twice for 10 yards, only the second time he's run for fewer than 20 yards as a starter in his NFL career. But he also completed 19 of 28 passes for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns without a turnover. And all 4 touchdown throws were downfield ones, 3 to A.J. Brown, 2 of which were thrown absolutely perfectly, and 1 to Zach Pascal. Hurts now has 10 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions to go with his 6 rushing touchdowns. Only Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow have accounted for more. What complaint will the Eagles torch next? In our first running back spot today, we have controversy in Dallas. Maybe. Often, we use the term truthers in fantasy in a derisive way. For instance, those who still believe Ronald Jones is going to be a useful player are truthers in the worst possible way. But sometimes, the truthers have ground to stand on. Many in the fantasy community have been shouting for years that Pollard is better than Ezekiel Elliott, and in 2 glorious games, that's Tony Pollard, by the way. I didn't actually reference his first name. Tony Pollard has given them plenty of evidence to shout about. Week 8's victory over the Bears was Pollard's second career game without Elliott in the lineup as well. He posted 14 carries for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns, adding a catch for 16 yards. Despite playing just 53% of the offensive snaps, Pollard scored 33.7 PPR fantasy points. It outpaced the 31.2 fantasy points he scored in Week 15 of 2020, the last time he played without Elliott. While Chicago's shorthanded defense didn't offer much resistance, you can make an easy argument that Pollard is the Cowboys' most explosive player. Pollard has a run of 57 yards and a reception of 46 yards this season. Elliott hasn't made a play of that length in either department since 2017. Still, one person who is not a Pollard truther is Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Here is what he said about Zeke per Yahoo's Jory Epstein. Quote, "We're going to go as Zeke goes. I really mean that. Zeke, that important to this team and every bit as important as he was before the game. I really mean he's that integral to our success this year." Jerry loves him some Zeke, but even if Zeke is back after the Cowboys' Week 9 bye from his MCL sprain, Pollard is just a player they can't relegate to a minor role. Whether they will or not remains to be seen, but few guys who are considered flex options offer this kind of upside on a week-to-week basis. And our second running back spot is someone who made history. The 49ers gave up a lot for Christian McCaffrey, a haul of draft picks many would argue is way beyond what a running back should fetch in a trade. So maybe the Niners agreed. After all, McCaffrey played running back, wide receiver, and quarterback in Week 8's win over the Rams. Just his second game as a 49er. On an 82% snap share, McCaffrey posted 18 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown rushing, 8 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown receiving on 9 targets, and, most incredibly, a 34-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk on a trick play. Now, CMC became the first NFL player since 2005 to run, catch, and throw a touchdown in the same game when some guy named Tomlinson did it. The fact of the matter is that McCaffrey now plays in a theoretically good offense with a theoretically creative head coach, and he's going to have just as big a role as he had in Carolina with more opportunities to score touchdowns. It's been literally 10 days since he got dealt to San Francisco, and he has reestablished himself as the top player in fantasy. In her first wide receiver spot, the Rams breathe a sigh of relief for the other top player in fantasy. Things got scary late in week 8 for the Rams. Down 17 points with just a minute to play. It's fair to wonder why Cooper Kupp was even in the game in the first place. Kupp got rolled up on and was down for some time after his final catch of the contest, but he walked off the field without much of a limp, and he's being called, quote, day-to-day with an ankle injury. Our Dr. Edwin Porras believes it was a classic low ankle sprain, and Rams coach Sean McVay said on Monday that Kupp has some swelling but no structural damage in his ankle. That should give Kupp an opportunity to play in Week 9 against the Cardinals. Knowing how tough Kupp is, we'd expect him out there. In our second wide receiver spot, we have someone who was not so lucky. Baltimore's Rashad Bateman missed weeks 5 and 6 with a foot injury, and he aggravated the injury in week 8 after seeing just 13 snaps and 1 target. According to Coach John Harbaugh, though, it was more than just a simple aggravation of the injury, and Bateman will be out, quote, a few weeks now. That is pretty obvious. Baltimore plays the Saints in week 9 on Monday night before going on bye, so at the earliest, we won't see Bateman until week 11. Bateman is yet to top a 66% snap share in a contest, and he's averaging just 4.7 targets per game as the distant second fiddle to Mark Andrews in a low-volume passing attack. He could be safely dropped in shallow formats, and he's simply a bench stash until he garners more attention for Lamar Jackson, which may not happen at this point. And in our flex spot, we have someone who could be returning to the fold this week. Atlanta's Cordero Patterson made waves for wearing a, quote, free Calvin Ridley t-shirt on the sidelines during Atlanta's Week 8 victory, and he could be ready to ditch the shirt for a jersey as early as this week. He's eligible to come off the injured reserve starting this week after undergoing a knee procedure on October 3rd, and head coach Arthur Smith said at the time he expects Patterson back, quote, sooner rather than later. There hasn't been much in terms of updates since he went on the injured reserve, but he should vault back to the top of the depth chart in this running back by committee after averaging 5.9 yards per carry in his first 4 games. Tyler Algier has been mostly underwhelming as the lead runner in his absence, working ahead of Caleb Huntley, who, frankly, at times has looked better. But Algier is coming off his best fantasy performance with 39 rushing yards and 46 receiving yards and a touchdown for 17.5 fantasy points against the Panthers. Patterson had 3 touchdowns and 2 performances with 22 or more fantasy points before getting shelved before week 5. I'm Joe Dolan, and this has been a glitchy edition of the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup, but hey, it's live television. Things happen. We got through it. Remember to check out the rest of our YouTube videos. Please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. All that stuff helps us. You can also go to fantasypoints.com, interact with me in our subscriber Discord. Use code LINEUP22 to get an extra 10% off a website. That's already 25% off. And those of you who are subscribers, be on the lookout within the next number of weeks for our 2023 early bird special, super early bird special, throwing that out there. And we have a lot of stuff coming to the website that I think is going to entice more of you to check it out. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.